On this year of Watch Dojo, we're looking at the top 7 best fighting game mechanics of all time. For this list, we're going through mechanics that make fighting games unique and discuss how they can increase player enjoyment to keep the community thriving. Which one of these mechanics do you enjoy the most? Let us know in the comments. Number 7. Risk. This is the pink gauge that appears underneath the health bar in the Guilty Gear series. How this mechanic works is that every time a player blocks an attack, they accumulate risk. And anytime they get hit while having risk, they take extra damage. Not only that, if a character fills the gauge past a certain point, the next hit automatically becomes a counter hit regardless of situation. This can stack multiple times, resulting in combos that can have more than one counter hit. This is an excellent mechanic because it incentivizes people to stop blocking. After all, it is very difficult to open up opponents in a game where 1 or 2 frame throws exist, along with characters with highness mix-ups and block strings. Truly a visionary idea. Also, a less known fact, RISK is acronym for Time to Stop Blocking. The R is silent. Speaking of counter hits and big damage, Guilty Gear Xr's Danger Time is on the number 6 spot. Danger Time occurs at about 30% chance when attacks clash. There will be a dramatic countdown, then for the next few seconds, all hits do 20% more damage, and each first hit gets a special property called Mortal Counter! As you can see, his stun is increased by an insane amount, which leads to amazing player expression.
3, 2, 1, go! Mortal Counter! フライアウェイデンジャーに行くぜそれが俺の名だやりすぎたか
This system was so popular that it ended up being a permanent system in its sequel, Guilty Gear Strive. Coming in at number 5, Purple Roman Cancels from Guilty Gear Xrd and Guilty Gear Strive. Roman Cancel is a technique that allows a player to cancel a move in order to take a different action. The special thing about the purple ones is that they happen during the recovery of a move. For example, if the opponent does a good job changing the timing or trajectory of an aerial attack so that your anti-air misses, bam! Purple Roman cancels to punish that great strategic choice. Did the opponent jump your command grab? Bam! Purple Roman cancel to anti-air overdrive. Should've just backdashed. The great thing about this mechanic is that it gives a second chance to players who make poor decisions to turn things around. Who doesn't want that, especially for poor grapplers? Another beneficial aspect is that it teaches a very real life lesson that as long as you have resources, you can make as many mistakes as you want. Should've just been born rich. Number 4. Motionless Specials. One of the biggest complaints for newcomers in fighting games are complicated inputs. Quarter circles, half circles, the dreaded Dragon Punch motion. So traditional fighting game developers stole some ideas from its brethren, the platform fighters, and incorporated simple directional inputs for specials. DNF Duel, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and the upcoming Street Fighter 6 all embrace this idea. Out of all of this, DNF Duel took the cake by universally assigning invincible reversals on the down input. So you can mash reversals while blocking. Better practice true block strings and bait those mashes. Street Fighter 6 on the other hand, unfortunately assigned moves like Ryu Shoryuken on the forward direction. Shame, shame, shame. Invincible reversals are great. For number 3, we're going to talk about systems that make them more potent. In Street Fighter 4, characters like Sagat and Ryu can focus attack - cancel their reversals into their ultra attack. In Under Night Inbirth, characters can chain shift their reversal to do massive amounts of damage and corner carry. Risk reward doesn't make sense? Nonsense. Massive comebacks through gambles are one of the most enjoyable things in fighting games. You know what's more exciting than reversals with huge damage? Parries. This popular mechanic makes our number 2 spot for its importance in fighting game history and how it forever affected fighting game design. For example, who hasn't heard of Dojo in Justin's Evo Moment 37? Even non-fighting game players are aware of this truly epic moment. Developers have been forever chasing this high as games such as Melty Blood Type Lumina and Street Fighter 6 has added their own spin on this classic move. The wonderful thing about these modern variations is that they require less accurate timing and oftentimes covers multiple options. For example, Melty Blood Type Lumina's shield can be held down and have automatic responses that cannot be safe jumped. On the other hand, Street Fighter 6's drive parry can also be held down and does not care whether the attack is high, mid, or low, and will continue to parry multiple hits as long as you hold down the button. We can now all experience Diego's Evo Moment 37 with a fraction of the effort and skills needed to execute it. Technological advancement is a wonderful thing. You can see the excitement in pro players such as Mago when drive parries were first showcased to the public.
やだやだやだブロッキングやだブロッキングやだブロッキングやだブロッキングやだブロッキングやだブロッキングやだなんでブロッキングなんて作っちゃったの
And for the last and most important mechanic, characters that are obviously too strong but exist because they are simply difficult to play or have extremely low health. Under Night Ember's Batista is a great example. She demands a lot of difficult execution due to her specials and combos having awkward and unorthodox inputs. For example, her drill kick requires to charge up and down, so an opposite of flash kick. Her laser beam requires her to charge forward, then back. Her exploding gems can only be executed when holding down a button for more than a second, then releasing. Combining these together can result in combos where you are constantly buffering charges in awkward directions, delaying cancels, and holding down multiple buttons. The combo I'm showing you took me a few hours to learn, and sadly is the first basic combo listed in the Under Night Ember wiki. Yikes. Anyways, you can see that she is very difficult to play. However, her kit makes this all worthwhile. Her laser beam is pretty much instantaneous and covers the entire screen. With a 14 frame startup, you cannot jump over these on reaction. But wait, it's a forward charge so she can't block while charging. No worries, she has a shield that can parry attacks while she's charging forward. And if that's too risky, she also has a back charge projectile that is slower but also has great utility. Her A version is slow so she can approach an opponent with it. If she doesn't want to, she can choose to shoot up to 3 of these to fill up the screen with projectiles. Her B version is much faster and pushes her back to create space. It also gets a wall bounce on counter hit so you can combo these afterwards. And if that wasn't too much, she can do these all in the air while having the ability to float. So for the opponent, it's like playing a bullet hell but without the saving grace of a small hurt box that comes with those games. But wait, if her zoning is this strong, her defense and mix-up game has to be weak, right? Remember the drill kick I was talking about earlier? Her B version is an overhead that has no height requirement. You know what that means, unreactable high-low mix-ups. Defensively, she has the fastest non-meter reversals with an extremely big hitbox. And on top of all of this, she can't be counter hit. Yup, for story reasons. I can probably go on for another hour or so with this, but to simply put, she's one of the strongest characters in the game. At this point, you might be saying, hey Dojo, this isn't a game mechanic. This is just a rant about a character archetype. And you know what? You are absolutely correct. And if you had more emotional intelligence than Ramathon in the beginning of Xrd, you also probably noticed that this is not actually a list of best mechanics, but just a list of mechanics that I personally dislike. I was originally making this video as a joke for April Fools, but as I was writing this list, I realized, hey, these are all from the games I really like and play the most. Am I secretly a League player who just plays something they hate out of spite? No. I realize that all the games I love have some faults, and not everything is perfect. Third Strike has option selectable parries, Guilty Gear Xrd has Risk and Purple Roman cancels, and Under Night in Birth has reversals that deletes half your health. Despite all of these gripes, I realized that the good far outweighed the bad. And I think this is an important thing to realize. You shouldn't always focus on the bad, and sometimes you should be lenient and accepting of someone's fault as long as it's not egregious. You don't need to hate a music album because you dislike one song and love the rest. You don't have to get upset at your favorite author because the ending of a book was not as good as you expected. And you don't need to leave an angry comment just because a creator made a small mistake in their video. Yeah, I think we should focus on the positive at times and realize that not everything we love will always be perfect. There's really no need to be salty all the time.
見取りじゃん見取りじゃん見取りじゃんルーメンサラプロテクション見取りじゃんよいしょ